What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving. The college football season, well, the regular season, I will say, is over. But you know what? We are now living in present day college football. We got the transfer portal, and we also just flipped a five-star defensive lineman from Ohio State, Justin Scott, which bumps Miami from originally being number 9 in the nation to a top 5 recruiting class. This came out of left field, Ross. Huge addition to the recruiting class. What are your overall thoughts about Justin Scott? I mean, massive, massive pickup.
Absolutely elite from the interior, and that's what we want, man. We want more and more and more push from the inside. We've got guys to develop on the outside with speed and that length and the lean muscle, but we're continuing to build up that elite interior. And Paul, just think about Justin Scott possibly getting a chance to team up for a year with Ruben Bain. How nice would that be?
No, it's building the trenches. Absolutely. I mean, Ruben Bain, in my opinion, has been one of the best additions we've seen, in the trenches at Miami that I can recall. I think for Justin Scott, this was a huge win for Coach Salavea. Remember, I mean, if you want to talk about Ruben Bain's recruitment, I mean, Mario Crispo was really the key factor in bringing on Ruben Bain's brother to the staff as well. So, I mean, huge win for Coach Salavea. We're building the trenches. That has been a goal of Mario last offseason. He wanted to build out the defensive line and offensive line. It's been a 180 with the offensive line this year. The defensive line has gotten better. You've seen a resurgence of our trenches compared to previous years. Really excited about the future. I know we saw a lot of young guys play well against Boston College, play well towards the end of the year. Ruben Bain, defensive ACC defensive rookie of the year, by the way, guys. Now we're adding Justin Scott. The thing is now is development. Hate to be a sour apple right now, but remember Cyrus Moss out of Bishop Gorman, huge edge rusher, defensive end prospects that Mario brought.
Yeah.
When he got the job at Miami, it's not working out for him. Hate to single him out, but it's not. And we're talking about the transfer portal. We're talking about players leaving, coming in. We need to develop players, but this was a huge pickup in Justin Scott.
And one thing I want to make sure we don't skim past is showing some love to Ruben Bain for winning the ACC Defensive Freshman of the Year. That way, he absolutely earned that award. There, I mean, in my opinion, there was no other player to give it to. Paul, he was the far and away runner for that award. So, congrats to Bain.
Hey, Ross, we see a lot of five-star recruits over the years. I mean, there's been plenty, right? What makes Justin Scott that five-star tier level that, he's a lot different from the rest of the pack?
When you've got the burst that he has with the strength, the natural God-given strength he has, and then the body type that he has, where we can mold that body type. I mean, he's not even close to reaching his max when it comes to muscle and strength and all that stuff. He's not even reaching his max at burst yet, but yes, he still shows it. He's got basically all the techniques that you want from a new age interior defensive lineman, Paul. He really does. He's got a variety of moves he can win with, and he can also beat you with flat out strength. But that burst as well can win. He can flat out get to, blockers before they can even get hands on him. He's already putting moves on him, swim moves and all that kind of stuff on him before they even put hands on him. So I mean, it's pretty impressive to watch his film, honestly.
Is there someone you would compare him to? Maybe a certain player that's played at Miami or just in general in college football or, in the NFL?
I would give him you know what? I'll give him a comparison just based off of the fact that I'm so enamored with burst in the interior defensive line. He reminds me of a player that we currently have on the roster right now who's still developing himself, but that would be Ahmad Moat.
Interesting. Okay.
Because
Ahmad Moden.
both of them provide that burst. Now, don't get me wrong. Moten was not quite the dominant of player that Scott is coming out of high school and hadn't proved quite as much. I'm talking in terms of just the burst. You know what I'm saying? Scott offers a little bit more, coming out of high school immediately. But you know what? I'm telling you guys, I think Moten's going to be a hell of a player for us here in a year or two.
Well, look, we're rebuilding this upcoming year. We got the bowl game coming up. Tyler Van Dyke, he's transferring out. Jakari Brown's going to start the bowl game. We do need to identify a veteran quarterback this upcoming year. That is evident. That needs to happen. The coaching staff knows it needs to happen. There is a ton of quarterbacks right now in the transfer portal. And here's the thing, Ross. It's not even official yet. I mean, players really, they don't even have to announce yet if they're going to enter the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how it's all worked out, isn't it? I mean, it is truly the wild, wild west, like they refer to it. It really is.
It's basically, agents are being contacted that are representing players. Tampering is involved.
Yeah.
With NIL. Yeah, that's what is going on. Hey, you want to come play at this program? Okay. How much? How much do you want to transfer for? We saw that with Concepcion out of NC State, the wide receiver there.
Yeah.
They gave him an NIL collective, to sponsor him another year at NC State. Dave Doran was preaching that in his press conference. He wanted more people to donate to the NIL collective that they had. Coach Stoops at Kentucky, he wanted more people to donate to the NIL. That is a big issue going on in college football.
Yep.
This is where we are present day. Ross, who do you think we should get from the portal at the quarterback position?
Well, I think first and foremost, I mean, at least in my opinion, and from what we've seen, at least so far in terms of like the staff, on social media and things like that, maybe even following certain players, Will Rogers seems to be the top target. I don't know. Is that the top target in your opinion?
I think Will Rogers is the first quarterback on the board, as well as Cam Ward as well. The reason why I like Will Rogers, yes, he is a system quarterback. He had tremendous amount of success with Mike Leach as his offensive coordinator in an air raid system. That's what Shannon Dawson runs, right? Primarily is an air raid system.
Yeah.
If let's say Will Rogers does fit the system of Shannon Dawson in this offense, it could be a recipe for success. You see his stat line with Mike Leach's offense, over 30 touchdowns those 2 years. That's if he throws 30 touchdowns at Miami, we're not going to lose a lot of football games next year, right? No. He's a veteran quarterback that has a ton of experience in SEC play. First game of the year you have is Florida on the road. Will Rogers is the first. I mean, it's the perfect transition into that game. A veteran quarterback from the SEC who's put up in multiple seasons 30-plus touchdowns that has played in an air raid offense. I mean, it's kind of like it checks off all the boxes. Now, you have another quarterback in Washington State, Cam Ward, who I'm really big on as well. And it's already been reported multiple schools have been offering him a lot of money to transfer there. So Miami isn't the only school in the Power 5 football ranks that is going after Cam Ward. I can see an Auburn, an Oregon, for example, going after him as well. I'm sure Tennessee is going to take a look. I mean, everyone wants their hands on him.
I will say, I'm sure the staff, and as time goes on, could be looking into Riley Leonard as well from Duke, just because of the familiarity. They know what he can do and can't do. You know what I'm saying? And Mario has always been a big fan of familiarity.
Well, the thing with Riley Leonard, Ross, I think, it's going to be three things. I think he's either going to go to Notre Dame, which we saw St. Hartman left Wake Forest to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He's going to go to either maybe Auburn that needs a quarterback, and he's from Alabama as well. Mm-hmm. And he can go to Texas A&M, where his head coach is now the new head coach at. I mean, I think those are three viable options. He does have a no contact tag when he entered the transfer portal, so that means he already knows what school he's going to end up at.
Yeah.
It would be very sneaky, very behind the scenes if Miami already drew that up. And I agree. I think it's a good option. But if I had to pick my favorites, I think you're looking at a Will Rogers, Cam Ward, or a Will Howard out of Kansas State. That's another good option because he is a mobile quarterback, Will Howard, as well. He does turn the ball over a little bit, but remember, something we did talk about is getting a mobile quarterback into this offense as an option for
Yeah.
next year.
That's one thing I like about Cam Ward. He does offer that, and he actually he's a genuine dual threat quarterback. He can throw the ball as well. So I mean, it's not like he's just one or the other, Um, we also talked about the quarterback from Coastal Carolina, Grayson McCall. He's another
Yep.
one of those guys that's kind of interesting. I don't think he's reached his ceiling, not even close to yet, honestly. I think though he's a little bit down the list. You know what I'm saying? Like we've got our priority guys, and he's a little bit down the list, kind of like Riley Leonard. Just in a certain situation, makes him so he's not a top target just because of this situation and in this scenario. And I feel the same way about the Coastal Carolina quarterback. I'm still on board with you here with Will Rogers and Cam Ward, and then I'm not honestly 100% sure who the third quarterback is, but I'll throw a name out there. Kansas State quarterback Will Howard, just for the fact that he has the experience and he's had some success.
I think the key for this offseason, right? And this is actually a really big decision and evaluation, Mario and Shannon Dawson have to make
Yeah.
is getting the right quarterback in this offseason.
Yeah.
Because if they miss on the quarterback position, next year's not going to be pretty. They have to get it right. The thing with Grayson McCall, yes, he's mobile. He's had success throwing the football. His numbers look good. Very low turnovers, and that's outstanding. He's going to transition from the Sun Belt Conference, right? I would rather, just to be safe, take a chance with a veteran Power 5 quarterback. That's just my opinion. But Grayson McCall, like we said, he is mobile. He is a dual threat.
The kid from Baylor, you talking about Blake Shapen? I think Marcus Hanshaw here made a mention of Blake Shapen. Yeah, he's an interesting quarterback from Baylor. He's definitely another guy who hasn't reached his ceiling yet. He's had some mistakes here and there, but he's an interesting name, honestly. I'm glad Marcus brought him up. He's a very interesting name that's not being talked about enough, Paul. I really feel that way.
Well, all right. So everyone listening live, put in the chat, who would you like to see Miami take as a quarterback that's in the transfer portal right now? Or maybe a Michael Pratt, for example, from Tulane. I'm sure he's going to put his hand out in the Power 5 hat, see what schools poke at him. He's from Boca Raton, Florida. I can see him end up at the University of Florida. I think they're going to need a quarterback for next season, especially in that tough schedule. It's ugly what the Gators have to face next year.
And also the Texas Tech's quarterback, Tyler Slow, being from originally Oregon, starting at Oregon and then going to Texas Tech, that familiarity. I'm not super high on him myself, honestly, Paul. I mean, he's just not a quarterback that I'm that high on. He offers, yes, he has some kind of upside. He has some kind of intrigue. It's why schools have been, after him. But I think we can do better than that, honestly. I really do.
Yeah, I think Tyler Show. I don't think he's option number one. I think I think if Miami was going to end up with a Talia Tagovailoa, right? A Tyler Show, it's a miss. I'm sorry. Talia Tagovailoa, just because his brother plays for the Dolphins, does not mean we should take him. Yeah, that's a cool headline for ESPN. But if you want to get serious, you got to go after some good Power 5 quarterbacks who had success last year. You're going to be taking a big gamble with a Tyler Show or Talia Tagovailoa.
If we were going to go that route, I mean, that means we'd probably be looking at, Oregon State's quarterback too,
DJ.
Just because he kind of fits that mold, still raw, but big arms, strong, all that kind of stuff. But that's not really what I want to bring in. I want to bring in a guy who's got experience and a guy who's got accuracy. And I'll tell you the one thing about Will Rogers that really, really, really impresses me, Paul. We're talking about a guy who's thrown over 12,000 yards in his career, 94 touchdowns with a 69.4 completion percentage. That's what I want at Miami.
He's the leading passer in Mississippi State football history.
Yeah.
Most touchdowns, most passing yards. That like, you're just grabbing him from the program.
And
Will
remember,
Rogers checks off all the boxes. Air raid quarterback. Fits that system perfectly. Has thrown for multiple seasons 30 plus touchdowns and under 10 interceptions each season. He did
if
not have success this year because of a different offensive coordinator that did not run an air raid system. He is a system quarterback that is known for his accuracy. We have good wide receivers. We need accuracy. Miami is looking for a quarterback that does not turn the ball over 12 times in a span of 4 games. That is accurate and has veteran experience that can go into Gainesville and get the win. That's Will Rogers. That's my take as number one.
Yep. And we also got to remember, too, I mean, when we're talking about quarterbacks and stuff like that, and all the quarterbacks we've listed, we've listed guys who Mike Leach has even gone after. And you know how high I am on Mike Leach and his approach to offense. Rest in peace, Mike Leach, of course. But you know how high I was on decisions he makes and the quarterbacks he picks and stuff like that. So I hope we keep the door open for something like that, definitely.
I 100% agree, Ross. I think Mike Leach, as weird as he is a very good
Amazing.
job at picking quarterbacks.
Amazing offensive mind. One of the most creative offensive minds in college football.
So, talking about the portal, it was reported by Frank Tucker of Rivals that an SEC program has reached out to a running back at Miami, to a couple wide receivers as well. I don't want to name names to create drama. We do know who those players are, but just keep that in mind. This is modern day college football. Unfortunately, it is a free agency, it is a free for all. And, we did see one player in particular on offense get very underutilized.
Yeah.
And he did very well on special teams. Could an SEC program where his former teammate in high school is playing at right now?
Yeah.
I can name you one that I'm thinking of that could be in his ear to transfer over.
It would be a big loss, Paul. It really would, especially with this player getting more and more familiar with our system and getting more comfortable in college football. I think he's due for a breakout season, honestly. And I would hate to see that breakout season be the one where he left us. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think a lot of conversation needs to be had, with Shannon Dawson.
Yeah.
I think we have 4 playmakers going into next year. With a good quarterback, this should be a very good offense. I think, Mark Fletcher is a very good running back. He had a really good freshman year. Needs to stay healthy. He didn't miss a good chunk of his freshman year due to his health, but I think Miami proved, hey, we're going to roll with him as their starting running back next year. Chaney's gone. Hate to say it, but I think someone else is going to transfer out as well. I'm not going to say names publicly, but that's just my hunch. You have Chris Johnson, another running back. Javonte Citizen, he hasn't played in a couple years because of injuries, so I can't vouch for him. But, we do tend to reload. The good thing is at running back at Miami, so I'm never worried about depth at running back.
Yeah.
But, I think Mark Fletcher next year is our starting running back. If he stays healthy, it could be a very good year.
Yeah, I see him in do you know the amount of time we have AJ Allen for?
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot AJ Allen. I mean, shit. When he plays, he's shown a ton of great flashes. I mean, I thought he had the best run of the year. 2 of the best runs this year was from AJ Allen. Forgot about him. Yeah, he's a redshirt freshman, Ross. So
That's what I
next year
thought.
he's a redshirt sophomore. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing about AJ Allen this year. I feel like they benched him for some reason. I don't know why. They don't give him more playing time. I don't know why.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he wasn't picking up blitzes or something like that. Oftentimes that can be the case when it comes to running backs, especially when you got an offensive lineman as a head coach who is all about blocking. Of course, if you're a running back and you're missing your assignments on blocking, you're not going to get on the field at Miami. It's just not going to happen. And I think that's why they like Fletcher so much. Is Fletcher not only takes those blocks on, but he's got the physical build to handle those blocks already. And he showed it as a true freshman. So he's only going to get stronger as time goes.
Right. No, I completely agree. I think the key is with the running back room is staying healthy, get the guys you want returning, and I think AJ Allen should be one of those guys. Mark Fletcher, I think Chris Johnson. We were able to redshirt him this year.
Yeah.
He should be getting a lot more playing time. And you got your high school recruits as well. So,
Do you think Parrish will be back? Because there's been rumors.
I don't think so. I think he needs to go to another school. I think Miami made it having at the end of the year. Like, we got to move forward. We're going with the young guys.
If Parrish was to leave, would you want us to just stick with the incoming guys and who we have, or would you want us to dip into the transfer portal to get a guy with experience at running back?
There's a running back from Kansas State that's very good. I
Yeah.
think they're going to be looking for playing time. I think
Yeah.
Mark Fletcher's going to get the majority of the snaps next year.
Yeah.
Staying healthy. That's your guy. And I don't like having a deep running back room. I like 3 guys max, honestly.
And here's another one. What's the deal with Trevante Citizen, too? We haven't heard much about Citizen,
He's been injured for 2 years. Can't vouch for him, unfortunately. It's just a reality of the situation.
He just hasn't been able to get healthy yet,
Ross, I mean, speaking of the transfer portal, where else do you think Miami should tap into? Definitely not tight ends. I don't know why one tight end is going to stay at Miami. I really don't. Besides Cam McCormick, everyone else should just leave.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be the Elijah Arroyo show, I think, at tight end for us pretty much for 90% of the snaps next year, unless he gets injured. It never hurts to continue to add talent in the trenches. It never hurts, dude. It never hurts to add competition. It just depends on the type of player who wants to come in. A lot of guys, when they transfer, they want to know that they're going to get that starting gig, or they're going to make sure they get that film so NFL scouts see them. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody wants to come in and truly compete for a spot. Oftentimes you get those guys from the lower schools coming up who are more willing to compete in that aspect. I could see us looking for another wide receiver, especially another, a playmaking wide receiver. I love the receivers we got right now. I think that they can all help and stuff, but I think that we'll definitely look at another experienced receiver. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think if everyone returns in the wide receiver room, and I think 1 or 2 people will leave.
Yeah.
Definitely 1 will leave, I think. I'd be surprised if everyone does return.
Yeah.
I mean, always getting a receiver, a veteran receiver would be nice. Here's the thing, though. If everyone does return, there's really not a need.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Outside of injuries and depth.
Right.
That's the only other thing.
Because
but
Coach Dawson showed, too, like, he's not going to spread the ball out that much. He's going to keep it at 3 to 4 guys.
Yeah.
That's really it. That's what his offense is. 3 to 4 guys getting the ball.
I'm not 100% sure if that's Dawson or if that was TBD, though, bro. I'm not 100% sure. Because I saw some different stuff from Dawson when I watched this film.
Right.
Him, and he spread the ball around. His other quarterback spread the ball around. I think TBD just got a little shook back there, honestly, and was just relying on the guys that he felt he could rely on and wasn't willing to take too many chances with other guys. And that's a shame, dude. That's when playmakers don't get a chance to make plays.
To be fair, Ross, like, outside, you have Restrepo, you have Horton, George, and Brashard Smith. Like, who else? Like, Isaiah Horton's your 5th guy. I mean, who else do you have out of those guys that, to really make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, Ray, could eventually move up. Ray Joseph.
Right.
I could see him being a nice slot piece for us, especially if we were to lose the guy who's ahead of him. I hate even saying, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to lose him, but you know who I'm talking about. But if we were able to keep him and keep the rest of the guys, it's not a priority, Paul. To me, it's not a priority. If Smith was to leave, I'll say the name, if Brashard Smith was to leave, I would still like us to add another speed component. Honestly, I'd like us to find another speed guy with experience.
Right. I agree. But I will say, I think the staff wants Ray to be more involved with the offense next year.
Oh, yeah. And I think we can do it in a way where we we get Ray involved, but not have to overload him. You know what I'm saying? Not have to like, just every snap you have to be the slot guy over and over. We can, kind of bring him in and have a nice little rotation. Hopefully keep guys healthy, keep guys fresh. That's always been the idea. It doesn't always work, but it's been the idea.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But tight ends for sure is. I think the whole room should leave besides Cam McCormick. I think it's sad.
If you can block, come and play tight end at Miami, because that's pretty much all. I mean, unless you can catch like 5 or 6 yard, quick outs and stuff like that.
Well, I think they had McCoy. They had McCoy just blocking as a tight end at times. Like, It's basically, if you go max protection, you might as well just put an extra lineman in the tight end position, if you're going to go max protection.
I think that's what McCormick technically was. He was just an undersized offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Is there anything on defense that worries you about next year? What about the cornerback situation?
Safeties. I mean, James Williams, Cam Kitchens, they're gone, right? I mean, that's definitely going to be worrisome. I think we're going to go after the safety from Indiana, and he's from Miami as well. Yeah. He's in the transfer portal. You got to grab that guy. No doubt about it. And I think Miami will. But yeah, I think your safeties, they're gone. I mean, Kitchens is leaving. James Williams will probably leave. If he stays another year, great. I think that would help his draft status. I really do. Another year of football. Mm-hmm. But, if he wants to leave this year, I completely understand.
Do you think that we need to look for another experienced corner with Couch leaving?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. We always need to.
The rumor there.
Yeah. I mean, shit. We brought in a lot of cornerbacks this past offseason. Yeah, you got to keep filling in that role. I know Kiko Mauigoa, linebacker, they want to retain him to return next year.
Absolutely.
I think he had 7.5 sacks, which tied Ruben Bain for leaders of sacks total on the team, believe it or not. Surprisingly, he did it quietly. Yeah, he did it very quietly. So that's very impressive. I don't know how he is going to be evaluated as an NFL player, though. So if he returns next year, that would be amazing to play with his brother again. But I think, Kiko Mauigoa, 7.5 sacks.
He had that many sacks, really?
Yeah, I saw it the other day. Yep.
Jeez, man. I honestly like that completely skipped past me. I knew he plays like he's on fire, which I love. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is just all over the damn place. Him and Wesley Basaint, I think that's a fantastic duo with the speed they offer. You know what I'm saying? It's a fantastic duo.
Kamari Wilson. I think he came out of IMG with the Florida Gators. He's in the transfer portal as well. I would take a chance with him.
Anthony, if Connor Weidman might transfer out of Texas A&M because of the firing of Jimbo, I don't think Connor would be high on our list. I think we'd probably have multiple quarterbacks ahead of him.
I think we're looking at Cam Ward, Will Rogers, and Will Howard right now as the top three, and then Grayson McCall. But I think Miami, Connor Weidman, he's not bad by any means. He's a decent quarterback, but I think scheme-wise and what Shannon Dawson wants to run, I think you're looking at Cam Rogers or Will Rogers as your top two.
I'm really hoping that we don't just settle for the Texas Tech guy just because of the Oregon familiarity. You know what I'm saying? I hope we don't do that, man. I want us to bring in an impact quarterback.
I think knowing Mario and what we saw last year in the portal, I think he's going to go for the kill. I really do. Because, look, he wants to get this right. He's getting paid so much money. He can even sponsor a player to come to Miami if he wanted to. He's getting $8 million a year, Ross. His buyout. He's setting up generational wealth for his great grandchildren at this point.
Yeah. Here's a question here. Do you think Shamar Stewart will enter the portal with Jimbo gone?
He really hasn't done much at Texas A&M.
He's young.
I will say, I just don't think we've played him twice this year. he hasn't done anything to stand out. I mean, he really kind of just he has not stood out at all. I mean, I don't recall one game where he played against Miami where he's performed, where he's done anything. Even games I've watched at Texas A&M, he doesn't stand out.
I
Doesn't really
think
make any big plays.
I think Jimbo did a poor job overall developing players on both sides of the ball at Texas A&M with the guys he brought in. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like they did a kind of a disservice to some of these guys. I think some of these guys are better players than what we've seen. Honestly, I
I
think
agree.
Shamar Stewart with the right coaching could be a better player than we've seen. Honestly, I truly believe that.
I think Miami needs to start taking though players that have played well at the Power Five level. Like they've had a lot of success. Like Thomas Gore from Georgia State was a stupid take. I know you liked him, Ross, when he was coming. I thought that was a dumb take.
Oh,
He did
I
nothing
mean,
to get there.
I didn't say that I liked him. I just understood why I thought they were bringing him in just because of the undersized with the quickness and the burst. That was all, But other than that, I didn't feel like he offered a
You do
whole lot.
not need to take players that come from Georgia State.
Not unless they show
Don't.
elite traits.
Yeah, unless they're throwing. But I mean, a 5'9" defensive lineman. What the fuck? We don't need to be doing that. We don't need to be taking chances in the portal. That's some Manny Diaz stuff.
I'm getting a lot of comments here in the chat wanting to think about what we think about quarterback Max Brosmer.
I'll be honest, Ross. First time I heard that name. Where is he out of? Yeah, first
He was
time
a
hearing that name.
he was a junior at New Hampshire this season.
I have no idea who Max Brosner is.
I know the Gophers have been looking into him.
Guys, I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible. Your
He's
top
not a
three
big name though.
targets right now.
He's an FCS player.
Top three targets right now. Miami is looking at Will Rogers, Will Howard, Cam Ward. No particular order. Those are the first three guys they're looking at.
The way I see Brosmer, 6'2", 221 pounds, FCS passed for the FCS best 3,464 yards this season, 29 touchdowns.
You can't take chances like that. We need a veteran Power 5 quarterback that's had success already. We can't take that chance.
Yeah.
We have Florida in Gainesville at the Swamp, first game of the year. You can't roll that out.
I don't want to roll an FCS
You
quarterback
can't
out.
do that. You need a quarterback that's already been in these big games.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't take that gamble. This is year 3 for Mario. We were 5-7, 7-5.
Yeah.
He knows this is a big year for him. Because if it's 7-5, 6-6 again, he that is not good. He knows this is a big year for him.
Brosmer is not the type of quarterback I'd want to transfer in. He's the type of quarterback that I'd want to recruit and develop. That's my stance on Brosmer.
Yeah, we don't have patience year 3 at Miami. We can't. Virginia can take that gamble, not Miami.
No, we can't take it, especially after what we saw this last year. We can't afford to do it, dude. Seriously, we can't afford to do it. We can't afford to screw off anymore in a state with the most football talent in the nation. We can't afford to do it, dude. We got to start showing that we're not just a team who's willing to make changes, but to show that we're exciting, that you want to play for Miami, that you want to wear that jersey. We need to get that excitement back, dude. But the only way to do that, Paul, is to get that quarterback position figured out. We can do everything else, which we've done. We've got the offensive line figured out a little bit better. Got the defensive line moving better. Got linebackers figured out a whole lot better. DBs look better. We're making improvements. Wide receivers showed improvement.
I'll say this, Ross. Speaking of, and I was thinking about this just now, looking at the comments and players we can flip. If Miami can reel in, and this is a long shot, but if you get the right quarterback from the portal that excites him, if Miami somehow, and I'm not going to say what that somehow entails in recruiting, but if Miami can somehow reel in Jeremiah Smith, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be effing amazing. And that's somehow that I said in recruiting can entail many different things.
Is Jason Marshall in the portal?
he has. I am not aware of Jason Marshall entering the portal, but he was teammates with Rashard Smith at Miami Palmetto
Oh, I mean, I know we
and
recruited
Leonard
him
Taylor.
hard. We recruited him hard. But I wouldn't see why we wouldn't at least show interest in him. If he was to enter the portal, if he's in the portal, I can't see why we wouldn't at least show interest. I'm not sure we'll land him, but I'm sure we would at least show interest, though. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I mean, we're just starting off here, Paul, with the transfer portal. Imagine the names that are gonna come out here in the future, day
It's
after day after day after day. Just imagine. It's
and
gonna
it's
get
like
wild.
first week of December where it's official. This is like early announcements. This is
Yep.
just showing you that
Yep.
tampering does go on. For Riley
Oh
Leonard
yeah.
to say like, "Hey, nobody contacts me. I'm entering the transfer portal." That means like he's already been in touch with the program he's going to. Tampering's going on 100% every day in college football during the regular season. During the off season, there are agents involved. Alabama surprisingly contacted Tyler Van Dyke last year. They dodged a bullet. That would have been bad.
Yeah.
Tampering goes on all the time. Agents are speaking with players, their parents. I mean, I've seen Drew Rosenhaus talk to Tyler Van Dyke's parents at a University of Miami home game last year. Okay, like it's happening every day.
It happens through trainers a lot too now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. You know,
Oh,
so
yeah, I know it does.
with NIL as well, I mean, players are getting, hey, what's your number? Huh? What's your price tag to transfer over?
Pretty
Hey,
much,
what are they
right?
giving you? Hey, they're giving you this number. Okay, we'll double that. Come on
Yeah.
down.
And that's how the game's played. I mean, that's NFL free agency, isn't it?
Yeah, it's free agency.
Without a multi-year contract deal, or
Right,
whatever,
right, exactly. Which I mean, there could, I'm sure there's like contracts in the sense of like, hey, like,
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah,
if you transfer, the money's gone, right? The
yeah,
payments stop, right?
yeah, for sure.
Um, things like that. And I mean, we saw the Jaden Rashada situation where Florida promised him a lot more money than my another program did. I'm sure Miami was offering, and he got screwed over and ended up at Arizona State. So
Anthony, I will answer your question for you because I can tell you really want it answered. We talked about this earlier about bringing some receivers in only if we're comfortable with the guys who are available and if we're not comfortable with the guys we currently have on the roster. That's the only way that we really feel that we're going to need to do it. I personally, in my take, I feel like we're eventually going to need to bring in somebody with experience at wide receiver. I just have that feeling in my gut going down the road here with this whole transfer portal thing. I think we're going to eventually need to bring in somebody. That's just a feeling I have.
I think one or two players from Miami's wide receiver rotation, one will declare for the draft. I think one will hit the portal.
So at that point, do you feel we've got the proper depth to be able to fulfill one of those spots and then only have to hit the portal for one guy?
Well, look. We brought in Tyler Harrell this past year, and he did shit. Right?
Yeah.
Frank Latson left; he hasn't done shit. So, like, yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
bringing a guy where you're like, all right, we'll take a chance on him. We have nothing to lose. Yeah, we see the upside. Look at Johnny Wilson from Florida State. He
Colby Young did
transferred
okay.
from Arizona State, and he even said it like Oregon State reached out for me to take a visit, and that was it. And then Florida State gave me a call, and they took a chance on me.
Yeah.
He's a 6'7" receiver.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, like he's done nothing at Arizona State, but we see his upside. So I think that's a situation Miami can play with. And I do think Miami needs more height. We have our possession wide receiver to move the chains with Restrepo. We have our burners with Ray Joseph and with Brashard Smith. Jacoby George is your X Factor playmaker. And then Kobe Young is your deep ball threat. So I think you need to add someone else to complement Kobe Young as a deep ball threat as well
Yeah.
and to have some height. So I think a tall wide receiver would be great.
Yeah. I actually completely agree with that. That's where my mind was kind of heading towards, is something where, in that 6'3", 6'4" range, possibly, hopefully,
And by the way, I mean, this is Alonzo Highsmith's role, right? As kind of a general manager, player evaluator. He evaluated players with the Green Bay Packers for the NFL draft, who they were going to pick as a scouting report.
Yeah.
He has, I mean, that's really what his role is at the University of Miami. Hey, look around college football. Who do you like? Let's all have this conversation in the film room. Lonzo Highsmith, Shannon Dawson, Mario, Mirabal, whoever, your whole offensive staff. Who do you like at quarterback? Who do you like at receiver? Who fits the scheme? Okay, cool. Let's go.
Paul, I'm just curious on your take on this here. Getting away from some of this transfer portal stuff, I wanted to ask you about the bowl game and just kind of your opinion on having Jakuri start for us and kind of what it could mean in positive terms for optics for the University of Miami.
Well, Jakari Brown starting, I mean, it's exciting, right? I'm happy for him. He's finally getting his chance to play this year. He's
Yeah.
a very exciting player. He's a great athlete. I think he's a special quarterback in the sense of talent and ability. He's something Miami hasn't had at the quarterback position that I can recall, really. I mean, his mobile ability is very good. Now, as his passing ability, that is a huge question mark. I'm curious you know, how it will turn out. His accuracy. He did have big accuracy issues last year, according to reports in practice. He still had it during the offseason. So we're gonna see. I think they're gonna play against USC, Power Five, big time program. Let's see how he plays against USC. And you know what? It will be a great indicator of what he is as a player, how much he's developed, and I think it's a great way if he is interested in putting his hat in the transfer portal. It's a great way to showcase, his development. Put some film, get some tape out there of him against a very good USC program. He plays really well. I'm sure a Power Five team will take a chance on him.
Definitely. Hey, Paul. So about 2 hours ago, they're saying Evan Stewart hit the portal.
You grab him and you pay him whatever the F you want,
you
Miami.
you bring you back in the Brinks truck.
You need to. Holy crap! Here's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
If and
that
I
is who we're
haven't
talking
seen
about. That's the wide receiver we're talking about that we want to add. That is exactly
it.
who we want.
Here's the
Literally.
thing. Here's the thing. Okay, if it is valid, if it stands true, Evan Stewart is in the transfer portal.
They're saying it is.
I mean, you got to pay out whatever the f he wants in NIL money. I'm surprised he's not going in the NFL draft, to be honest. Yeah, you give him whatever he wants. Every program in America is going to be offering him money. This is going to be literally a bidding war. I don't think he ends up at Miami because I think he ends up at an Alabama, at a Georgia, at a top tier SEC program.
Okay.
But no. If he wants to come to Miami, you pay him whatever the f he wants.
Seriously, you give him whatever the hell he asks for. Just for the time he's available. Absolutely. We already saw what he can do even at a young age. Imagine what he can do with more and more experience, Paul. Just imagine.
Evan Stewart he's an X factor.
We're talking about a possible first round style draft pick at wide receiver.
He's an NFL player.
That's
He's
the
an
kind of
NFL
upside
player.
that he's definitely an NFL player. I mean, there's no question about it. He will be in the NFL. He will be playing on Sundays. It's just a matter of, what round he gets in. But I'm telling you, he's got the upside, in my opinion, to be a first round type of guy because he's got the physical traits and he's got the athletic traits. Now he just has a full come around and show the technical traits, which he's been doing more and more and more. So, dude, I mean, we're talking about possibly a truly, truly elite wide receiver right there. And you are correct. Every school in the nation that's worth their weight in gold will be going after him. No doubt
That's
about
the thing is like, a player like him,
USC is going to make a big push.
Everyone's going to be put. It's like, I would love to have him, but the reality is like, it's kind of get in line and whoever the highest bidder, go for it.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the one nice thing though, Paul, is do you know who trains him?
your boy,
Margin
Hooks.
Yes, sir. Margin Hooks. And, me and him are still in contact pretty often. Margin Hooks is the guy who trained Charles Rambo for the chat, if you guys weren't aware of that. So we do have a connection there with him, and our staff has spoken with him before about his wide receivers. So there's been reasons why we've made offers to wide receivers in Texas, and Margin Hooks is one of the big reasons that we make those offers.
Denzel Mims as well.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you can go down the list. Ashton Kozart.
Ashton Kozar. They all go to Oklahoma though. They
Yeah,
all follow Lincoln Riley.
you can go down the list, dude. I mean, basically, if you're a top 10 to top 15 wide receiver in the state of Texas, you're more than likely working with Margin Hooks, or you're trying to.
Yeah, I mean Evan Stewart. I mean everyone's gonna. That's the thing. It gets to a level where it's like, okay, Texas, USC, Ohio State. You mentioned South Carolina. Like everyone's gonna be dropping money for this guy. Uh, I don't think Iowa. I don't know. Someone mentioned South Carolina and Iowa.
I
I can
can't
see
see him
South
going to Iowa.
Carolina, but I don't. Iowa's just that would be a death sentence. That's stupid.
We're
They
talking
don't.
about a guy who wants
Yeah.
to put up stats, and Iowa's all about winning, by
Yeah.
20 or less.
No, I can see him in the SEC. I think Evan Stewart's going to go to the SEC. I would love for him to come to Miami. I would be shocked if we do become the highest bidder, but that's what it's going to come to.
Do you think he might look at a place like the ACC and go, dude, I can just run through that conference and make myself look like a superstar?
Oh, it depends. I mean, he needs a quarterback.
Yeah. Seriously, the quarterback's got to get figured out before that gets figured out.
He needs a quarterback, and I think,
Yeah.
If Miami brings in a quarterback, hey, here's a quarterback, here's the money. Are you interested? But he needs a quarterback. Yeah.
Paul, in your mind, and maybe there is no time. Maybe it's just the best time is the best time whenever it is. But do you feel that there is a kind of a timeline for us that we need to look to add to that quarterback so we can use it in recruiting and all that kind of stuff?
Well, definitely start of spring football.
Yeah.
It's so early right now, and I think everyone's just going to
Super.
wait and see approach who's going to be in the transfer portal and conversations. Like every program's talking to players that they want. They've been doing it during the regular season. It's not a surprise. Oh, this player hit the portal. Oh my God, we're in shock. It's like they've already been in contact by programs. Miami's doing their due diligence and who they want at the quarterback position. They've evaluated everyone in America. They've reached out if they're interested. So, really, it's before spring football starts is when you want your quarterback. But that's really the timeline I see, and it's really going to be a wait and see approach. It will be a bad sign if Miami does miss. I'll tell you what, if Miami does not land Cam Ward, Will Howard, or Will Rogers, and they land a quarterback that they don't land Grayson McCall, they land a random quarterback like a Tyler Show or a Talia Tungo Viola, that's not going to be good. I'm not going to be happy with that. They better hit a home run. And I think they will. They will hit a home run. I don't think they're missing. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't think they're going to miss. I think they might put in a name that out of the hat that nobody saw coming. That could be a possibility.
Yeah. That could be a real possibility. And the one thing that we can always sit back and be comfortable about is knowing that the guys who are on this staff are madmen on the recruiting trail. They're absolute madmen. They talk about they don't even know if some of these guys even sleep. Because they're that freaking active all the time.
Dennis Smith does not sleep.
No, I don't think Dennis Smith I don't think he's slept since week 2.
He used to be 6'5". He got smaller and smaller over time in recruiting.
Gravity's worn him down too much because he hasn't had a chance to sleep.
Coach, who's the mustache guy? I forgot his name. Coach Feld.
Yeah, Coach Feld, the strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, he's not. He can't work out anymore. He's on the recruiting trail so much.
I like to know that our guys are like that, though. I like to know that our guys are ruthless out there on the recruiting trail and that they're hungry, bro. That they're willing to go anywhere at any time to get a pull for Miami. I do admire that, and I like that. And I'm so happy we kept Coach Field for one of those type of reasons, because he's one of those masterminds that can get shit done when other guys can't in the recruiting game. It truly.
Yeah, and I saw the comment from Marcus KJ Jefferson out of Arkansas, their quarterback as well. Another name to look out for.
Yes.
Another name to look out for.
Absolutely. Good call, Marcus. Very good call, Marcus.
Like I said, there's so many quarterbacks in the transfer portal. So many that are going to be coming in, coming out. So it's good to be patient. But when spring football starts, you got to have your guy.
It's funny. Someone here just said we need Darren Smith, the linebacker from Georgia. Paul, you know all about me and Darren Smith, huh?
Yeah. You definitely you found him before anyone else even knew him.
I had him on for an interview and he was unranked.
Yeah, I remember that one. He was a big boy, huge.
Now he's a freaking stud, dude. Now there's gonna
Now,
be a whole lot of teams,
now we'll pay him $1 million to come to Miami.
right? Right, dude. You know me, man. I mean, if Darren Smith wants to come to the U, I'm all about it, bro. I'm all about it, fresh, all about
100%. All right. Well, Ross, anything we didn't cover today? It was a long show that you'd like to mention before we wrap it up. I think we covered everything so far. I mean, it's less than a weekend of the off season before the bowl game. I mean, shit, all these things are happening. It's gonna get crazy.
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything that's pertinent right now. You know, everything that needs to be covered right now. But the thing is that we're not going to be away from this because we're going to be back on the air pretty soon because there's going to be more and more developments happening soon.
Right.
It's going to be happening all the time. So we're going to want to keep you guys updated on everything that we can keep you updated on. And in the chat, I want to thank you guys for when we reach out to you and ask you guys questions and you give us back these kind of answers. We truly appreciate that, honestly. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, just keep in mind, guys, I forgot who it was. There was a player that said he already had 30 offers from programs and he didn't even put his name in the transfer portal yet. He's unnamed. He's been unidentified. But that's the kind of things that are going on right now in college football.
That's what's happening with the tampering behind the scenes. And guys, tampering is 100,000% happening. It's happening, and it's happening across the nation.
All right. Well, hey, guys, greatly appreciate everyone joining us live. We're listening to the show later on tonight and this week. Really looking forward to the bowl game where Miami ends up. And, you know, this offseason with the transfer portal, it's going to be really exciting. And we'll have a new face at quarterback very soon. So definitely excited about that, guys. And always, all about the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.